want to take a moment to talk about the growing fears of war with Russia, as Russia has got at least 100,000 troops on the Ukraine border, and we're just kind of staring at this, wondering what's about to happen. I want to start by saying don't trust the leaders of America. Don't trust anyone when it comes to central government, the Congress, whatever it may be. Don't trust them, because what they're doing is they're doing several things. What we need to do is we need to stay out. Because ultimately what Russia is asking for is they're asking that Ukraine not join NATO. And they're not a part of NATO. We are not under any obligation to send troops on their behalf. They're not a part of NATO. Russia doesn't want them to join NATO. They also don't want missiles and warships and warplanes on the border of Russia. And in the end, I heard, I think it was Alaskan Prepper talking about this, and he said it's kind of like if Canada was going to join the Communist Party and put Chinese and Russian troops on our border. We would definitely not be okay with that. And that's ultimately what we're seeing. Now, with that being said, we obviously have to care about the Ukrainians as well. Ultimately, what we're seeing our leaders do is really preparing, the central government preparing, essentially threatening, if you invade, then we will do these things. Not any sort of deterrent from invasion, essentially showing the cards, saying, hey, if you invade, here's our cards. We just want you to see these in advance. That's obviously not going to deter him. And then both Democrats and Republicans, both sides of Congress, have agreed to deliver aids in the form of military personnel, but more importantly, military weapons. Military tanks, anti-tank weapons just came from Ukraine. And all of these things are going to be consumed by Russia, because Russia is planning what's referred to as a lightning attack. Like, essentially the sun comes up, they're in Kiev, they're already there, in green uniforms with no markings. And we've seen them do that. Sun comes up and they're there. There's nothing you could do about it. And at that point, they have all our military weapons. The Ukrainian military is not going to put up much of a fight, and the U.S. isn't going to help them. Let's just say they're going to send there's a few thousand military personnel that are probably going to be standing behind the lines. But all of those anti-tank missiles, all of the warships, everything that is going to Ukraine is going to be in the hands of the Russians. In about 24 hours after they invade. So I want to take this moment to just say, don't trust them. I mean, really, the leaders of the U.S. are setting the U.S. up for failure, and they're setting Russia up for great success, is what it appears to be so far. With that being said, as a Christian, does this play a role in the end times? Well, I want to kind of remind you of something that Jesus said when he was specifically talking about the end times. When the disciples asked him about the end times, in Matthew 24, it says this. It says, "And Jesus answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceives you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of war. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places." So Jesus told us it would be like this. And as Christians, we need to not jump into, well, this side of the political party's right or that. They're all wrong. Let's just start by saying they're all wrong. They're just essentially showing one side of our politics is showing Russia all of our cards, and essentially Putin's sitting there going, well, yeah, that doesn't intimidate me, I'm going to go ahead and invade. While the other side's saying, well, here, we're going to put all these weapons in Ukraine that you can have here in a few days once you invade. But the importance of this is to lean on him, not on your own understanding of the world, because Jesus said it would be like this. He says, and you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. This is something that, the United States has been in a state of war for 90% of its life. And if we enter into this, whatever this is over in Ukraine, it's going to be a huge mistake. And all it's going to do is feed into the beast. It's feeding the beast. It's feeding the Antichrist, which will be revealed. in his time. But it's just feeding that is all it's doing. It's feeding the Antichrist, feeding the beast. And as Christians, we need to just stand back and separate ourselves from the world and say, you know what, there's some wars and there's going to be some rumors of wars, and it's important we be not troubled by this, that it must come to pass. It's important that these things actually play out. So as we continue to watch this, again, I just think both, don't trust either side. Trust in him. Trust in the word of God. Just know this is supposed to happen. All these things we're seeing in front of our eyes, it is supposed to happen. So love to hear your thoughts on all that. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel through Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. Never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.